Air travel might feel routine these days, but one small mistake can turn your flight into a nightmare, or worse. In this video, we're counting down 20 dangerous airplane mistakes you should avoid at all costs. Let's get into it. Number 20. Ignoring the safety demonstration. You've heard it so many times it feels like background noise, the safety demo. The crew stands there pointing out exits, oxygen masks, and life jackets while most passengers barely glance up from their screens. But what you might not realize is that these few minutes of instructions could save your life. FAA mandates safety briefings before every flight for a reason. They're not there for decoration. If your plane ever hits turbulence, catches fire, or requires an emergency evacuation, those tiny details, like how to open your seatbelt, where your nearest exit is, and how to use a flotation device, can mean the difference between panic and survival. Surprisingly, studies show that in real emergencies, a significant number of passengers freeze or make the wrong choices simply because they didn't pay attention during the demo. And while most flights are smooth, incidents like Southwest Airlines' engine failure in 2018 show that things can go wrong without warning. It's easy to think, I've flown 100 times, I know this already, but aircraft vary, and so do safety layouts. Even seasoned travelers need a refresher. So next time, put down the phone, take out the earbuds, and give those few minutes your full attention. It might save your life. Number 19. Leaving lithium batteries loose in your bag. You probably pack your power bank, extra batteries, or camera gear without thinking twice. But if those lithium batteries are floating freely in your bag, or worse, checked into the cargo hold, you're risking a fire you won't be able to control. Lithium-ion batteries, like the ones in most electronics, are sensitive to physical damage and short-circuiting. When loose and unprotected, they can come into contact with coins, keys, or even each other. That creates a closed circuit, and when that happens, they heat up fast, sometimes enough to catch fire. In fact, the FAA has logged hundreds of in-flight incidents involving overheated or smoking batteries. Cabin crew are trained to handle them quickly, but if it happens in a suitcase below deck, the fire can go unnoticed until it's too late. That's why there are clear rules. You're allowed to carry lithium batteries, but only in your hand luggage, and only if they're properly stored. Use protective cases, tape over terminals, and never ever check a bag containing spare batteries. Airlines enforce this because fires at 35,000 feet are a nightmare. So if you're packing anything powered by lithium, take the extra minute to store it properly. It's a small effort that could prevent a massive emergency. Number 18. Muting crew announcements with headphones. It's tempting. You're finally settled into your seat, your playlist is going, and the last thing you want to hear is announcements breaking your flow. But tuning out those overhead messages, even the ones that seem routine, can leave you completely unaware of serious time-sensitive updates. Flight attendants don't make announcements just to fill the air. Often, they're giving real-time instructions about turbulence, route changes, landing protocols, or security concerns. And if you've got noise-canceling headphones on full blast, you might miss something critical, like a seatbelt warning during unexpected turbulence. The National Transport Safety Board has found multiple cases where passengers were injured simply because they didn't respond in time to crew instructions. Not because they were defiant, but because they didn't hear them. Even the simplest alert, like return to your seat immediately, can become life-saving when conditions change mid-flight. The sky can look calm, but sudden air pockets or jet streams can slam a plane without warning. That's why the crew sometimes makes announcements even if the seatbelt sign is off. So yes, enjoy your music or movie, but keep the volume reasonable. Glance up when you hear the chime, and if the crew's speaking, listen up. A few seconds of awareness can spare you pain, or even save your life. Number 17. Mixing alcohol with sleep medications. Long flights and overnight journeys can leave you reaching for a little something to help you relax, maybe a glass of wine and a sleep aid to knock you out until landing. But this combination, while common, is far more dangerous than most passengers realize. At cruising altitude, your body's already under stress. The cabin is pressurized to simulate altitudes of about 6,000 to 8,000 feet. That means there's less oxygen in your blood, and your organs, especially your brain, are working harder to stay balanced. Now add alcohol, which acts as a depressant, then throw in medication designed to slow your body down even further. The result? A risky cocktail that can impair breathing, heart rate, and even consciousness. Medical professionals and aviation safety boards consistently warn against combining alcohol and sedatives on flights. It increases the risk of fainting, dehydration, severe disorientation, and in rare cases, oxygen deprivation. And in an emergency, a groggy passenger can't react quickly or follow instructions, putting themselves and others at risk. Even worse, cabin crews have reported passengers becoming aggressive or unresponsive mid-flight due to mixing alcohol and meds, forcing unscheduled landings. So if you need help sleeping, talk to a doctor about safe options, but above all, skip the booze if you're taking anything that alters your system. Number 16. Wearing flip-flops or going barefoot. You might be tempted to kick off your shoes once you've settled in. After all, comfort is key when you're sitting for hours. But what you wear, or don't wear, on your feet during a flight can actually affect your safety. First, let's talk about emergencies. If there's ever an evacuation, the last thing you want is bare feet or flimsy sandals. Emergency exits often lead to inflatable slides. These slides can be hot, rough, or even littered with debris from the tarmac. Flip-flops can easily catch or fall off, and bare feet offer no protection. Many flight attendants warn that in a real evacuation, your feet are exposed to burns, cuts, and sharp objects that can slow you down or cause serious injury. There's also hygiene. Airplane floors, especially in restrooms, are far from clean. Spills happen, fluids aren't always water, and walking around barefoot or in open footwear exposes you to germs you wouldn't want to take home. Lastly, in turbulence, people have been injured when unsecured items fly across the cabin. If your feet aren't protected, something as simple as a water bottle or tray could cause bruises or worse. So yes, be comfortable, but wear secure closed shoes. They might not match your travel aesthetic, but they could make a big difference if things go wrong. Number 15. Overstuffing the overhead bin. You're boarding late, the cabin's packed, and you've got a heavy carry-on. So you hoist it up, push, shove, and wedge it into the nearest overhead bin. Mission accomplished, right? Not exactly. The overhead bin isn't just extra storage, it's a space designed for specific weight limits and secure latching. When passengers overstuff these compartments or force in oversized bags, it puts everyone at risk. That bin can pop open unexpectedly during turbulence or a rough landing, sending luggage crashing down on unsuspecting heads. According to FAA cabin safety advisories, head injuries from falling bags are among the most common in-flight accidents. Some result in concussions or severe bruising, and in rare cases, the impact has sent passengers to the hospital. Flight attendants are trained to watch for poorly packed bins, but they can't catch everything, especially during busy boarding times. And it's not just weight. Overstuffed compartments are harder to close securely. If they don't latch, they'll pop open mid-flight. So what's the safe move? Pack light. If your bag is truly heavy, check it, and if you do use the overhead, place heavier items beneath the seat in front of you. It may take a few more minutes to plan, but it protects everyone, especially you. Number 14. Unbuckling during calm patches. The captain switches off the seatbelt sign, and it feels like a green light to relax. You stretch, get up, maybe even remove your belt altogether. After all, the flight is smooth, but the truth is the sky can change in seconds. Clear air turbulence is invisible and can strike without warning. It doesn't show up on radar and often hits while the sky appears perfectly calm. When that happens, the plane can drop suddenly, throwing anything or anyone not secured into the air. The FAA has documented numerous cases where passengers and crew suffered serious injuries after being jolted during these sudden drops. Some were knocked unconscious, others broke bones, and many weren't doing anything wrong, they were just unbuckled. Keeping your seatbelt loosely fastened throughout the flight, even when the sign is off, is one of the simplest, most effective safety habits you can have. You don't have to cinch it tight, just secure enough that you won't lift out of your seat. Pilots and flight attendants do it for a reason. They've seen what happens when unexpected turbulence hits. So even if the ride is smooth, don't gamble. Keep the belt on. It might be the thing that keeps you in your seat and out of danger. Number 13. Stashing heavy items at your feet. That carry-on you tucked under the seat? If it's bulky or heavy, it might be a bigger hazard than you think. In the event of sudden turbulence, or worse, a crash, it could become a dangerous projectile. Aircraft seats are designed to withstand incredible forces during emergency landings, but the area around your legs? Not so much. If a heavy item is loose down there, it could slam into your shins, knees, or ankles at high velocity. Even items like laptops or thick books can cause serious injury when launched forward. In crash tests, even moderate-sized personal items have been shown to cause fractures or bruising if not properly stowed. The FAA advises that heavier objects should be secured in the overhead bin or checked entirely, not jammed under a seat. And it's not just about impact. Large bags at your feet can also reduce your ability to get up quickly in an emergency. You don't want to be fumbling with straps or wedging your legs free when every second counts during an evacuation. So if your underseat item is large or dense, reconsider where you place it. Your legs need room to move, and your safety depends on a clear path forward, both figuratively and literally. Number 12. Skipping water and sitting still the entire flight. You may not notice it, but flying drains your body in ways that can sneak up on you. The cabin air at 35,000 feet is dry, drier than most deserts. Every breath you take slowly pulls moisture from your system, and if you're not drinking enough water, your body starts to feel the effects quickly. Dehydration can lead to headaches, fatigue, dry skin, and even lightheadedness. But more seriously, when combined with sitting still for hours, it increases your risk of deep vein thrombosis, DVT, a dangerous condition where blood clots form in your legs. Those clots can travel to the lungs or brain and become life-threatening. Medical organizations like the CDC and the NHS recommend standing up and walking around the cabin at least once every 2 hours during long flights. Even light stretching in your seat, ankle circles, calf raises, or simple knee lifts can help blood circulation and reduce stiffness. And water? Don't just sip when you're thirsty. Make it a habit to drink throughout the flight. Bring a refillable bottle and ask the flight attendants for top-ups if needed. Skip the third coffee or glass of wine, they'll only make the dehydration worse. Flying may feel passive, but your body's working hard to adjust. A little movement in hydration can go a long way in keeping it safe. Number 11. Hiding serious allergies from the crew. It's a personal detail, sure, but if you or your child has a severe allergy, keeping that information to yourself on a plane can have serious consequences. The cabin is a closed environment, and if an allergic reaction happens mid-air, minutes can make the difference between recovery and emergency. Let's say you have a peanut allergy. You've packed your own snacks, you feel in control, but you can't control what other passengers are eating, or what food traces may be on the tray table, armrest, or seatbelt, and if something triggers a reaction, you'll need help, fast. Flight attendants are trained in basic medical support, and most commercial aircraft carry epinephrine, auto-injectors, or first aid kits, but they can't treat what they don't know about. Declaring your allergy early gives them time to prepare, avoid serving certain foods near you, and act immediately if something goes wrong. International airline guidelines also suggest passengers with known anaphylaxis travel with 2 auto-injectors just in case, and notifying the airline during booking can sometimes get you early boarding so you can clean your area or speak to the crew one-on-one. It's not about making a fuss, it's about making sure you're safe. On a plane, seconds matter, and the more people who know your situation, the better your odds in an emergency. Number 10. Drinking too much during the flight. A glass of wine or a cold beer at 30,000 feet might sound like the perfect way to unwind, but drinking alcohol in the air hits your body differently than it does on the ground, and that difference can sneak up on you fast. Cabin pressure reduces oxygen levels, meaning you already absorb alcohol faster and metabolize it slower, so that single drink might feel like 2. Your coordination slips, your judgment fades, and your reaction time slows, all while your body is already battling dehydration from the dry cabin air. In extreme cases, overindulging on flights has led to passengers becoming disruptive or even violent, something airlines take very seriously. The FAA regularly fines or bans travelers for being drunk and disorderly in the air, and it's not just the loud incidents. Even subtle signs like staggering, slurred speech, or ignoring instructions can get you in serious trouble. Besides that, heavy drinking dehydrates you more, disrupts sleep, and worsens jet lag. What feels like a harmless buzz can turn into nausea, dizziness, or regret before you even land. So by all means, enjoy a drink if you want to, but pace yourself, drink water alongside it, and know your limits. A relaxing flight shouldn't end with a headache, a warning, or worse, a permanent mark on your travel record. Number 9. Packing self-heating meal kits or warmers. They're compact, convenient, and perfect for hiking or military use, but on a plane, those little self-heating meal packs can cause major problems. If you've ever packed one in your carry-on thinking it'll save you from airline food, think again. Self-heating meal kits often contain flameless ration heaters. These devices use a chemical reaction, usually involving magnesium, iron, and salt, to produce heat and steam. Just a small splash of water triggers the reaction, rising temperatures fast enough to warm a full meal. Now imagine that happening mid-flight in a pressurized cabin. The sudden release of heat and gas not only violates fire safety rules, but could also trigger smoke alarms or create panic among passengers. Even if the heater doesn't ignite, the reaction itself is considered hazardous. That's why the TSA and most international aviation authorities ban these items from both carry-on and checked luggage. They're on the same list as fireworks and lighter fluid, not something you want anywhere near a confined space full of people and sensitive electronics. If you have dietary restrictions or just want a better meal on board, stick to dry, shelf-stable snacks or order ahead when possible. But leave the chemical cookers at home. It's one less thing to explain at security, and one less risk in the air. Number 8. Wearing high heels during takeoff and landing. They might look sharp and complement your travel outfit perfectly, but high heels on a plane come with risks that go beyond sore feet. In an emergency, they can actually make it harder for you to escape quickly, or worse, they can cause serious damage during evacuation. Emergency slides, the inflatable ramps used when evacuating aircraft, are designed to handle thousands of pounds of pressure, but they're also sensitive to sharp objects. Heels, especially stiletto or pointed types, can pierce the fabric, deflate the slide, or cause it to fail mid-use. That's why many airlines advise, or even require, passengers to remove heels during an evacuation. But by then, it might be too late. Trying to yank off shoes during a fire drill or amid rushing passengers isn't exactly easy. Every second counts, and beyond that, heels can slow you down, increase your risk of tripping, and leave you unstable in high-stress, fast-paced situations. Even outside emergencies, heels are uncomfortable during turbulence. If the plane suddenly shifts, you'll be less balanced and more likely to twist an ankle or fall. So if you're set on dressing up, bring your heels in a bag and wear flats or sneakers on board. You can always change after landing, but your safety comes first. Number 7. Inflating your life jacket inside the cabin. It seems like common sense. If you're in a crash landing near water, you grab the life jacket under your seat and pull the tabs. But if you inflate it before leaving the aircraft, you've just made one of the most dangerous and unfortunately common mistakes in aviation history. Life jackets are designed to keep you afloat after you're outside of the aircraft, but if you inflate it while inside, it balloons instantly, making it nearly impossible to move. You'll be too bulky to squeeze through aisles, too wide to fit through exits, and your mobility will be severely limited. In a smoke-filled cabin or fast-sinking aircraft, that delay can cost lives. A well-known example happened during the Ethiopian Airlines hijacking in 1996. Many passengers inflated their life jackets inside, which prevented them from escaping the rapidly sinking plane. Some drowned because of it. That's why safety demos and cards specifically say to wait until you're outside before inflating. It might feel counterintuitive in a panic, but trust the protocol. If your plane lands in water, your first job is to exit fast and calm. Once you're clear of the cabin, then you pull the cord, not a second sooner. Number 6. Tampering with lavatory smoke detectors. It might seem harmless to sneak a quick puff in the bathroom, but disabling or tampering with a smoke detector on an airplane is not just risky, it's a federal crime. After a deadly in-flight fire in 1983 on Air Canada Flight 797, believed to have started in the lavatory, aviation authorities around the world began strictly enforcing smoke detector regulations. These detectors are built specifically for aircraft cabins, and airlines are required by law to install and maintain them. Tampering with one can result in fines of up to $2,000 or even arrest and jail time upon landing. It's not just about cigarettes. Vaping, incense, or even aerosol sprays can trigger a false alarm, or worse, mask a real fire. If a detector is disabled, the crew might not realize something is wrong until it's too late. In the air, smoke spreads fast and fire is catastrophic. So whether you're flying domestic or international, it's simple. Don't light up, don't tamper, and don't test the limits. The bathroom might feel private, but it's not beyond the reach of cabin safety laws, and for good reason. Number 5. Blocking exit rows with bags or blankets. That exit row may come with extra legroom, but it also comes with extra responsibility. In the event of an emergency, you're expected to be ready to help open the exit and evacuate quickly. But if your space is cluttered with bags, coats, or loose items, you've turned a safety feature into a dangerous bottleneck. FAA regulations make it clear. Passengers in exit rows must keep that area completely clear during takeoff and landing. If the path to the exit is blocked, it delays everyone behind you. And in an evacuation, even seconds can mean the difference between life and death. Flight attendants check these rows before takeoff, but items often slide or shift during flight. A misplaced laptop bag or a rolled up blanket can create tripping hazards or jam the door mechanism. It's not just your safety on the line, it's the entire row behind you. If you're seated there, stow all items securely, and if you're not comfortable being responsible for opening an emergency exit, it's okay to request a seat change. Extra legroom is great, but when you sit in that row, you're part of the crew's safety plan. Take it seriously. Number 4. Standing up before the seatbelt sign is off. The plane lands, the brakes squeal, the cabin lights brighten, and instantly people leap to their feet to grab their bags. But the seatbelt sign is still on, and that rush to stand can quickly lead to real injuries. Even during smooth landings, sudden stops, turns, or unexpected jolts can happen as the aircraft taxis to the gate. And when you're upright in a narrow aisle without seatbelt protection, you're vulnerable to falling, bumping into other passengers, or getting hit by a shifting bag from the overhead. The FAA has documented numerous injuries that occur after touchdown, but before the seatbelt sign was turned off. Some resulted in passengers hitting their heads or twisting ankles simply because they stood up too early. There's also a legal angle. Ignoring crew instructions, even after landing, is considered non-compliance and can lead to warnings or fines if reported. So take a deep breath. You're almost there. Wait for the chime. When the captain turns off the signal, then it's safe to stand. That 30-second delay might spare you from a sprained wrist, or worse. Number 3. Holding infants in your lap instead of using a child's safety seat. Airlines allow infants under 2 to fly on a parent's lap, but experts, including the FAA and NTSB, say it's not safe. In turbulence or a sudden stop, even the strongest arms can't hold onto a child with the force needed to keep them secure. In fact, FAA crash simulations have shown that during a rough landing or rapid deceleration, an infant becomes a projectile, literally torn from a parent's grip by G-forces. It's heartbreaking, but real. There have been undocumented cases of lap-held infants being severely injured or even killed in otherwise survivable accidents. That's why safety authorities strongly recommend using an FAA-approved child restraint system, CRS, for all young children. These are similar to car seats, but certified for air travel. They secure your baby in place and fit into the aircraft seatbelt system. Yes, it may cost extra to buy a seat for your infant, but it provides actual protection. You wouldn't drive without buckling your child, so why fly unrestrained? If safety is the priority, using a child's safety seat is the only responsible choice. Holding them in your arms just isn't enough. Number 2. Arguing with or ignoring crew instructions. Maybe you're tired, frustrated, or disagree with the rule, but arguing with a flight attendant or ignoring their instructions doesn't just make the flight harder for them, it puts everyone on board at risk. Cabin crew aren't just there for snacks and comfort, they're trained safety professionals with authority granted by law. FAA regulations require passengers to comply with crew instructions at all times, and failing to do so can lead to fines, flight bans, or even arrest. Non-compliance is the number one cause of in-flight incidents. Something as simple as refusing to wear a mask during pandemic rules, stowing your bag, or sitting in your assigned seat has escalated into physical altercations and emergency landings. In an emergency, the crew needs to be able to give orders quickly and no passengers will follow them. If you're uncooperative during routine matters, you're more likely to cause delays, or worse, chaos, when it matters most. Don't gamble with your reputation or others' safety. Listen, cooperate, and save the argument for after you land, because up in the air, the crew's word isn't just a suggestion, it's protocol. Number 1. Trying to open the emergency exit mid-flight. It sounds unthinkable, but every year, passengers attempt to open emergency exits during flight, sometimes out of confusion, intoxication, or panic. The good news? It's nearly impossible to open an exit door at cruising altitude due to the cabin pressure difference, but the attempt alone is extremely dangerous. Flight crews are trained to treat this behavior as a threat. That's because in certain stages of flight, like while taxiing or waiting to take off, these doors can't open. And if deployed accidentally, they can injure crew, damage the aircraft, or even trigger a full emergency. In one widely reported incident, a passenger opened an emergency door on a taxiing aircraft, deployed the slide, and forced an evacuation. That one action caused hours of delay, thousands of dollars in damage, and several injuries. Tampering with exits, even out of curiosity, is a serious federal offense. It's treated as a security threat and prosecuted accordingly. So whatever you do, never touch or lean on those doors unless instructed. They're not shortcuts, they're life-saving equipment, and when misused, they become a serious hazard for everyone on board. You made it to the end. Now you know the 20 airplane mistakes that are more dangerous than they seem. Stay alert, fly smart, and you'll not only protect yourself, but everyone else on board. Which one surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another behind-the-scenes look into air travel. Safe travels, and see you in the next one.